I got distracted. Happy New Year. I have like 10 minutes before I'm meeting a friend for breakfast. And so I was driving on my way here and I felt like the Lord was like bringing things to mind. And I was like, I have to record a video now. So we'll see if it makes sense and we'll see if I can get it done before I have to go in for breakfast. I wanted to talk about going into the new year, talking about the details, like the actual process of how do you hear from God? How do you understand and know what vision is from God? People talk about getting a word for the year or dreaming or making a vision board or planning or whatever and like praying about it and having like, God gave me this over this year. But like the practicals of how did you do that? How did you discern that it was God? So I'm going to share kind of my organic process of how that happened for me going into 2026. First off, I went into the new year. I slept in. I was like, man, I just don't want to put the pressure of be better, do better, have a million things on your to-do list. I was like, I want to go into this new year well rested. And so I just let myself rest. I woke up and I'm like having the awareness of talking to the Lord while I'm like making breakfast. And I'm like, I know that I could sit down and read my Bible and journal right now. I know that I could, but I knew for myself the motivation to do that was because I feel like I should. That's what God expects of me, or that's what I would be doing if I was like really serious about my faith, and anything else is like trivial. And God and I have worked on this before where he's talked to me about how he's in the details and he's not like a drill sergeant, and it's not supposed to be like, this is my sacred solemn duty that I am in pain doing to be with you. There are times that discipline is painful, but it produces a peaceful fruit of righteousness. That is true. But I don't want it to be something where I go, ugh, like I'm shaming myself into doing it. So instead, I was like, well, Lord, I slept in, I'm having breakfast. What I really want to do is watch the finale of Stranger Things. And I just had the thought process, instead of, hey, would you come be with me while I read my Bible for the new year? I was like, would you come be with me while I watch my favorite show? And so I watched it, no spoilers, but God will often talk to me through stories. And I felt such an overwhelming like, oh, God got up all in my business and we need to talk about this. Like I felt kind of unsettled after watching it because of my expectations of what should have happened or what it was going to happen, wasn't going to happen. I was like on the edge of my seat, like, oh my gosh, how is this going to wrap up? Is it going to be good? And for time's sake, I won't go into the entire detailed thing, but I started journaling, and I would say that's the first thing for going to God is be honest with your emotions. Like I think of the woman at the well that she was so blatantly like, I don't like this about the faith and I'm confused about this, and why do your people act in ways that don't act like you? Like she was just so honest, and it opened the doorway for her to have a moment with Jesus. So I was writing out like, I feel kind of icky after watching that, and this is why. These are the things that are coming up in my heart. These are the unmet expectations that I'm having, that I'm dreaming about, or like whatever. Putting it all out there, and I'm like, Lord, I don't even know why this upset me, but this is what I'm feeling. Let me like talk to you about it. And through that process, I felt like as I'm writing this out, his gentle spirit coming alongside me, verses would come to mind that I hadn't thought of in a particular way. And so it's like a verse I've read a million times before, and yet he comes in and it shows up in a different way. And it's like, it connects to what we're talking about. And then he reminded me of different conversations in the past, of visions that he gave me in the past, of different words, and kind of connected them together. And then while I'm sitting there, he gave me this mental picture of what he's doing in my life in this year. And I wasn't really like looking for, I was just trying to process, why do I feel some type of way? I feel like I need to bring this to you. And in that, he revealed things he's healing, revealed things that he is working on in me, revealed things that he is working on in my friends' lives, and showed me this image of him as the author of my story, and how much better it is than if I was writing my own story, and how I don't need to know the ending to know that he is writing a good story. All of that to say, I got some specific things from God, just sitting with him, journaling, being honest about where I was at, and asking questions. So that's maybe the second thing, is asking questions. My questions were literally like, why does this upset me? What am I feeling right now? What are you trying to speak to me through this? Like, what is this? And that prompts the conversation to start. And I felt like he drew in and started helping me figure that out. And I got to the end of it and I was like, oh, wow, I have this whole like 5 pages of journal and I understand what you're saying. And not like, oh, I understand everything perfectly, but there was just like a piece around it. And I was like, oh, God just met me. God just spoke to me. Like Moses in the burning bush, like God just came here, talked to me, answered my questions. Another thing that is really helpful that I also didn't necessarily intentionally seek out, but happened this week, is having other people in your community, your like closest friends, the people that know you, that know God, that want you to know God better, those people speaking into and sharing what you're hearing. So I had a friend text me and ask, what is God telling you about the new year? And so then that prompted me to reflect and to share and to vocalize a lot of the things that God was doing internally. But then I also was talking to my mom this morning. I came down and she's on the phone with one of her friends, and her friend starts talking to me and saying the exact same things that were in my vision from God when I was journaling the other day. And God loves to confirm things through community and through other people. And so whether it's like asking someone you trust for prayer, or it's just starting a conversation and saying, hey, this is what God's telling me right now, you have no idea how that could impact someone else. And there are times, like when my mom's friend is talking to me, where she's saying so many things that confirm things God has told me that I can't, like, I would be interrupting her every 3 seconds to be like, wait, just so you know, that was God. Wait, just so you know, that was God. And so she may not know that every single detail of what she said was a totally from God thing. All she heard from me was like, wow, that really lines up with what God was saying for me. And so I think also the detail of sharing your own experiences with God, your own testimony, and not just the testimony of how you got saved, but all the little testimonies of how God provided for you financially when you didn't think he could, or in your friendships when you didn't think you could, or sharing literally the details of God talked to me this morning and this is what I learned in my Bible time. You have no idea the seeds that plants in other people, that by you sharing those things, you are actually confirming things in their lives that God's speaking to them too. Sometimes it is just being in community and sharing, and you don't have these grand conclusions, but you just have this heart of, man, me and all my friends, we're seeking after God, and I can encourage them and they can encourage me, and just keep going in it. That's why community is so important. And then the other thing that I will try to say is, do not let the enemy distract you when God is giving you vision and purpose. I had a random encounter, and I'm going to share it briefly for the same thing of there's power in our words and in our testimony and in our stories. So I've shared before, I am single. I have never been on a date, never been in a serious relationship, never like, I feel like God has just hidden me and in a lot of ways protected me, but it's a dream on my heart, but it has not been my reality yet. So I don't often get any sort of people pursuing me, like, or showing interest, or seriously, or like literally just like in passing. So I was out with a bunch of my youth students, and this guy comes up and he's like, hey, my friend thinks you're cute and he's too shy to say anything, but could he get your number? And then the guy that's there is like, he's just being a jerk. Like, I have a girlfriend. I'm so sorry. Like, whatever. And it was just like a meaningless, whatever, like, who cares kind of moment. But the thing that the enemy tried to latch onto is like an insecurity about identity, and was coming at this thing of, man, like, no one really does think that you're cute. Like, you aren't beautiful. You aren't like, whatever. And it's like saying it out loud, I'm like, that's so dumb. I hate that. But it spread into just this thought of like, oh, they were making fun of you. Oh, they did that because like it was funny to ask you out because you're not attractive or like desirable. And then one of my friends, I was like driving with her on the way home, we carpooled, and she was like, do not let that sit in your mind. She was like, don't think about it again. It doesn't have any meaning on that. But she just like spoke against the lies and like was like, no, do not take that to heart. Do not let that be something that guides your thought process. Don't let it linger. And I got home and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm still thinking about this. And so I wrote out in my journal and I was just like, hey, Lord, I really need affirmation from you. I don't need it from anyone else, and I don't need to think about this and let it linger, but like, you're where I get that from, so would you remind me what you think of me? I woke up this morning and I'm remembering all these details of things God's doing and vision he's given me for the new year and all of these promises and hopes for the future. And I'm like, yeah, the enemy is going to pick something dumb and small but comes at my identity to try to distract me so that I'm not focused on the things that God's doing. And we're not playing that game. We're not playing that game. Sorry. No. So stay focused on who God is. Don't focus on how you can make things happen for yourself this year. Don't focus on you can have the hopes and the dreams, and you can plan, and you can have goals, and you can invite God into all of those things and ask him what his will for this year is. But don't put the pressure on you making any of it happen. Just keep your eyes locked firmly on God, on who he is, and watch what story he will tell in the new year. I hope that's helpful. Yeah.